received a teaching degree from USC and did graduate work at the University of Mexico and the Universidad Interamericana, both in Mexico. I was teaching in North Hollywood and became aware of the school's diverse student body. It drew from a large migrant population. There were children from low-income families and a group from extremely wealthy people. These backgrounds were reflected in the students who attended the school. I soon realized that many of the children were absent for no apparent reason. They'd be fine the day before and then they would show up. After careful inquiry, I discovered that many of the children shared a school outfit with brothers or sisters who stayed home when it was not their turn to wear the clothes. Some of them were too embarrassed to attend because of the clothes they had to wear. Many of the wealthy children seemed to wear different clothes every day. An idea came to me. I contacted some of the parents and asked if they would mind or would be willing to donate their children's discarded clothes to the school. I would then give them to those I felt could make best use of them. This was a small solution to the problem. The difficulty was that, as we know, young people can be cruel at times without realizing it. I would see or hear Susie point out to her friends that one of the children was wearing her former, now discarded sweater. I thought how wonderful it would be if somewhere there were a central organization for ingathering, away from the schools, but referred by the schools. Thus, it would not become a way of life for people to come in off the street any time for free clothing. After a fairly short time, I was married. I taught until I became pregnant. We had a baby girl who was followed by a baby sister, and those two girls just had their birthdays, and they were both the same age for 2 weeks, so I was busy. After I had been home for a while, I received a call from Paramount Studios asking me to teach when they had a movie going, which required children. It fit my schedule because I did not have to be gone every day, but only when needed. It was a fun job and I loved it. We built a home in Studio City where I thought we would live the rest of our lives. I loved it and the area. Wrong. My husband had just left his position in Los Angeles to form his own oil business. The oil business in California is centered in Bakersfield, and that is where he was spending his work week. I was now pregnant with our son, so after much foot dragging, he got me to move to Bakersfield. I had only been to Bakersfield on my way to Stanford in June, in September, and on my way back home in June. That was before air-conditioned cars, and it was hot. However, I have had to eat my words. We have had a wonderful life in Bakersfield. After 2 years, I wanted to do something outside the home, but did not want a full-time teaching position because of too much time away from our children. I had never forgotten my dream. I contacted the head of the Bakersfield school system and explained to her what I had in mind. She was very supportive, but she also was very discouraging. She said she did not believe that I could successfully gain interest and support from a group of women that I would know in collecting and handling secondhand clothes. That's how we started. We didn't have any money. And I had my work cut out for me. It was slow going at first. We as a group had no funds, no guidelines. I would succeed in interesting several people, and then one or two would drop out. I also was still a fairly newcomer to Bakersfield. We had luncheons where the price of admission was a new piece of clothing for children. We collected clothing for members and friends. We named ourselves the Volunteer Service Guild. We stored clothing in a member's garage, but we soon outgrew that. A member, his husband, had a commercial building, forgot that, which had been used as an automobile repair business. It was dirty, greasy, and the roof leaked. After much cleaning and repairs, and we did all this with our people or our husbands, we had a home. My husband dubbed us, he thought of our volunteer service guild, but he said, I don't think that stands for what you're doing. How about the Rag Pickers Guild? Our business association of Bob's had started the Hacienda Hotels and was going to build one in Bakersfield. I asked him if he would like to sponsor our group and sponsor a lovely dinner and so forth at his new Hacienda. And to my surprise, he said yes. And he said, and I will donate the food, invitations, flowers, and a band from Las Vegas. How about that? The event was postponed twice due to construction delays. I haunted the builders. The night of our first storybook ball, my chairman and I were greeting guests in the lobby. I had to run to the kitchen every few minutes to find out when the ovens would be burned in so the chef could fix our dinner and cook the food. It was indeed a very long cocktail party. However, our first big fundraiser, the Storybook Ball, was a big success. In order to continue to grow, I felt we needed to become affiliated with an already established and successful charity. I was familiar with the Assistance League. I went to Los Angeles and met with the national officers. After meeting the requirements of number of members, finances, and successful project, which we named Operation School Bell, we became the Assistance League of Bakersfield. The owner of the garage now had a paying renter and wanted his building back. So we had another big problem to solve. I went to every bank in town. I knew most of the bank officers, but to no avail. My request for a building loan was turned down because we were just a group of women with no collateral, which of course we were. I was asked to be an honored guest at a luncheon at National. I was seated next to the president, Mrs. Mabel Fouch. In conversing, I told her of our housing problem. She asked me to come to her office after lunch. She called her attorney and asked him if she could loan me the necessary funds. Hallelujah. I was overjoyed, especially since I had just met her and she evidently believed in me. We have added, expanded, and grown in many ways. We are now in a very large building formerly owned by the state. We were forced out of our headquarters because a developer wanted our property for a big project he was doing. The ladies of the Assistance League, which had publicity in the newspaper quite often saying, the ladies of the Assistance League refused to give in until he and his group agreed to our demands. Buildings were being torn down all around us, and we held fast. I am so proud of our Assistance League ladies. Operation School Bell has contributed so much to the youth of our city, and I could not be more proud of what it has become. My dream has come true to a much greater extent than I ever envisioned. The National Assistance League honored me at the Seattle Convention a few years ago. It was indeed an experience of a lifetime. The final event was a luncheon in the large ballroom of the hotel. Among the other guests seated at our head table was the owner of an advertising agency who had taken Operation School Bell as his firm's charity. He is making videos of our project, one of which he showed. The owner of the John Robert Powers modeling agency spoke. He is adding Operation School Bell to his curriculum by giving his students who are in his project, I don't want to get two students mixed up, the students that are learning to how to use their clothes to show students in school how to look nice in their clothes, which were obtained and are obtained from Operation School Bell. A young black woman spoke next. She is the oldest of 5 children. Her mother is an alcoholic. She never knew her father. If it had not been for Operation School Bell, she could not have stayed in school. She had just returned from being on the Oprah Winfrey Show, where she received a full 4-year scholarship and to attend the University of Washington. And she was registering that day. She gave me a big hug and put an assistant sleeve medallion around my neck. I was asked to stand and given a lovely bouquet of flowers. A piano player and a male singer performed. He sang, "You are the wind beneath my wings," to me while I was standing trying to hold back the tears. I still get teary. I looked out over the audience of just under 1,000 women, and I knew that each of them represented more women who were working and supporting School Bell. It is so incredible to me that a small dream became something that I never imagined would or could ever happen. I have spoken to many assistance leagues and did some that are just starting new chapters. They are also very enthusiastic. Did you new members realize we are all over the United States? How wonderful is that? I do hope you are prepared to be overwhelmed by the wonderful children you are going to meet and become a part of helping them to stay in school. I'm hoping the present members have not been too bored by hearing me